So one of the effects in Ableton that I've never really used is the beat repeat. Today let's change that by looking at how it works and how you can use it for some pretty cool glitchy sound design. So here I just have a kick and bass, sounds something like this. And I just want to start making a sound that we can then add the beat repeat to, so that we can use it to make it glitchy. I'm going to do this in Serum because of course I'm going to. And what I'm essentially going to do is just a very simple kind of bandpass plug sound. So we'll get our filter here and we'll get nice high resonance. I've just assigned a note on random 1 to the filter cutoff, and I'm going to turn on the phaser, turn down the depth, and also assign a random noise to the frequency here. We'll turn this down a little bit as well. And now what we want to do is we just want to trigger it with an arpeggiator. Let's set this to 16 notes. And now let's add our delay, which will be the final step for the sound. And we should get something like this. A nice dark kind of texture. To prepare it, let's quickly remove some of the lower frequencies. Obviously, we don't want that clashing with our kick and bass here. And then we can just line this down and kind of finalize the sound design, and then we'll get into the beat repeat. Personally, I do think that the modulation in and of itself can be a little bit higher. Overall, we can just get a lot more high end out of this, and what I would do is also remove the very low frequencies from the delay, like so. And now we have our basis for our sound. Let's apply a beat repeat. Essentially how this works is that it takes your sound and it chops it up and either mixes it in with the original, inserts it, or uses it to gate the sound. The way that it works is a little bit strange in that you have this interval here which determines the length of each of the segments. And essentially what it does is it starts at the beginning of the segment, takes that sound and then repeats it the amount of times that you see here in the blocks. That is determined by this gate length here. I know the labels are a little bit weird in that this isn't really like a gate effect. This is just determining how many of these like little snippets it is going to actually repeat. And then you have the grid, which is just the actual like length of the segment and how many segments it uses to chop it up. And then the cool thing is this variation here, which just varies the way that it's actually re-triggering and which parts of the sound it is actually playing. There's also some other parameters here. There's the offset, which means that you can offset the effect in time. There's this pitch here, which allows you to pitch down the sound that it's repeating by up to an octave downwards. And then there's this pitch decay, which just kind of decays it over time. You can actually see it in the color here. Now this might be useful for some other sound design applications, but it will not be what we're using today. What we're going to do today is we're actually going to set the interval so that it lines up with the amount of notes that we're playing. You can see this is 7 and we're going to go to 8. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to randomize the variation that it's using. So you can see we're at 1/2 here. So what we want to do is also set this to 1/2. And then we'll just map this to the variation. And then we'll use the random mode like this. For some reason, it's opening up on a different monitor, so you cannot actually see the menu pop up. But I have selected the random like this, and so we can use that. And you can see now our variation is changing. Now, in my opinion, this is already a very cool sound. We have the delay before it. And this is actually integral to the way that it is glitching, because all of these little different sounds that are kind of created on top of each other by this delay are then together going into the part that is actually repeating. But we also want the delay after that to get our normal delay effect. Now what is cool is changing this position here. So let's go for 1/8, and we'll also set this to 1/8. And then you get something like this. Now personally, I really like a sound like this, but it's a little bit hard to work with because every time you pause, the delay is kind of continuing and it's also powering this delay here. So what I would recommend once you're done with this sound designing session where you have the delay kind of imprinted in the beat repeat, is that you freeze it and then apply your delay to it. So what you would do is you would just lay out the section that you want this sound to be in. Let's go with your kind of classical 16 bars here. What might be fun is to apply the filter here as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just MIDI map this. So I'm creating myself a little bit of space so that I can actually count this in. And we're just going to record some automation for this one parameter here. Now it turns out that this is where the gate comes in actually, and you can see if you press it on the gate version that then the filter is actually working. You could hear that it wasn't really working before. So now that we have the gate in there, you can hear that we get something like this. If I just leave it on insert, you get something that doesn't really involve the filter, as you can hear. So if you want an extra layer of filtering on top of your beat or beat, then you should use the gate method. So that is just what I wanted to show today. It is a little bit of an underrated device, especially by me, because I've never really investigated it. I did use it that one time when I made the shorts for all of the different Ableton effects, but I never really dove deep into it in terms of actually using it for sound design. But there's some really cool glitchy things that you can do with it, as hopefully this video has shown. So if you liked it, let me know by leaving a like, and if you're new here, make sure that you're subscribed. Also, if you want to help me financially, you can do so by checking out my products on Gumroad or checking out my Patreon page. That's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.